Everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for joining me this week. So, this week I'm going to be talking about meaningful collaboration. So, sometimes schools will ask me, what are some collaboration strategies, or how can we encourage our students to experience meaningful collaboration in the classroom? So, I'm going to share some of the ideas with you that I've shared with some of my school partnerships. If you're interested in finding out more collaboration strategies that are meaningful for learning and students, then please keep on watching. Okay, so this is a little snippet of a workshop that I normally give in some of my school partnerships when we want to unpack meaningful collaboration in the classroom. And the subtitle here really is the core theme. It's about from group work to genuine co-construction. And so we know that there are lots of different types of group work strategies, but how can we promote genuine co-construction? So let me share some ideas with you on two different approaches on collaboration. Okay, so two different approaches to group work. Let's have a look and compare. One is about co-construction of ideas, knowledge, and understanding. And the other approach is division of labor. And I'm not saying that one is right, one is wrong. I'm saying that these are two different approaches to group work. And for us to think about when we're using co-construction of ideas, knowledge, and understanding, and when we're actually using division of labor in group work. So let's have a side-by-side comparison. Co-construction, there's shared goals and outcomes. So everybody has the same goal and the same outcome as well. Whereas in division of labor, you're giving individual tasks to 3 or 4 or 5 students, and then you assemble it at the end and put it together. Okay, so I think that you can think of like different group work strategies that involve co-construction and then different ones that involve division of labor. Another one difference is that co-construction is interdependent roles. So everyone relies on everyone in the group in order to be able to complete the task. Whereas in division of labor, everyone is working independently on a different section, and then later you actually put it together. Okay, so I'm not saying division of labor is wrong, but to think about what our intention and purpose is of group work. In co-construction, there's a focus on the process and the dialogue between students. So you're looking at the students being interdependent, the discussions, the dialogue, what they're creating, and it's the process that's really important. Now, when we're looking at division of labor and group work, we know that there's a focus on the final product because students are working independently on different tasks. And then at the end, we put it together and then we see what is this whole project about. Okay, so that's another difference. And co-construction, all the students think about the whole problem together. Whereas in division of labor, each student is only thinking about their particular part or their particular task rather than the whole problem together. And then lastly, I've given some examples. So if it's co-construction, group investigates a historical event together, which each member contributing to a shared interpretation. So you're gathering different perspectives there. The roles are interdependent. There's a shared goal and outcome. There's a focus on actually the process, and we're looking at the whole problem. Now, if it was division of labor, I would say groups create a presentation with each member making one slide. Maybe it's about the historical event, but they're working independently. The focus is on the final product. Each student is thinking about only their own part and their individual tasks that are assembled at the end. So there's a difference between co-construction and division of labor, and I'd love to invite you to think about the difference and when you use which. I think that we're trying to encourage more co-construction of knowledge and understanding. There's nothing wrong with division of labor. I think when I was doing all my postgrad work, a lot of it was division of labor, like you do this part, you do this part, you do this part, and then at the end we get together. However, I think it's a lot more meaningful when there's co-construction of ideas and that students are building their knowledge and understanding together in a social constructivist environment. So, as we know from Vygotsky's work, we are human beings, are born social beings, and we learn best when we can actually interact, discuss, and be in a social environment to help unpack new ideas and to help apply and transfer ideas to different situations. Now, I wanted to just also share a bit of a roadmap, a collaboration roadmap, so that if you are thinking of trying to incorporate more co-construction, collaborative work, start off, first of all, with defining clear learning goals. So before starting, set a goal and set a target to be achieved. I think that's really important. What's your goal for the group work? What's your goal for the task? And then secondly, arrange groups strategically. Now, that doesn't mean pre-arrange groups. So I always like to randomly group. I think it's important that students see a visible random grouping because a lot of research suggests that when you put students in groups, and it's not random and it's not visibly random, students actually start living down to particular expectations because they think that group students maybe a particular ability or particular background. So we want groups to be random, ideally, and we want students to get used to working with different people in the classroom, right? So our groups should be randomly assigned regularly and frequently, and group sizes 3 to 5. So I sometimes see groups of 6 to 8. That's far too many. That is not conducive to co-construction of knowledge and effective collaboration. And I would even say pairs. A pair is a wonderful collaborative group, especially for younger years and younger children, early years. A group of 2 is ideal, but 3 to 5, allows everyone to be engaged in the discussion. The next stage in our roadmap is assigning roles and responsibilities. So we could have different roles such as facilitator, researcher, presenter, resource manager, note taker to ensure participation of every individual in the group. But remember, this is not division of labor. This is about co-construction. It's about interdependent roles where everybody is working on the same goal and on the same task as a whole. The next stage is really for us and students to be able to monitor and facilitate that learning and that group learning. So the performance of groups, we need to, as teachers, be quite aware of. We need to observe the group dynamics, offer guidance, but we're not taking charge. So we're not deciding and leading the group work. We're letting the students drive the learning, but we need to ensure that the group dynamics are conducive, are positive, and we need to intervene if they're not, and if, when we need to. And then, of course, students need feedback. Give feedback, collect evidence of learning to check both group performance and the individual contributions. So the biggest question that I get asked is, oh, but if we give group work, then it's not fair for the students who do more work than others. Now, if we use a co-construction philosophy, that's not going to be a problem because everyone's responsible for contributing to the entire task. And we want to value everybody's contribution as well as the group performance. So if we're going to be using a rubric to assess or collect evidence of learning on a particular project, I suggest that there are group rubric levels, but there's also individual contribution rubric levels so that every individual is accountable. Okay, so there were some of my ideas about effective, meaningful collaboration in the classroom and using the idea of co-construction of knowledge, understanding, and ideas for group work. And that doesn't mean that we can't use division of labor, but if we use division of labor, how can we hold everybody responsible and still enforce that co-construction of knowledge and understanding? So if you've got other ideas on collaboration and effective group work, next week I'll be talking about some of the strategies that you can use under the idea of co-construction of knowledge for group work. So watch out for that video. If you have any other ideas for effective group work, please put it in the comment section below. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.